Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony. Welcome to another edition of BnA Sports Talk. Today I really want to talk about some couple contract issues going on in the NFL and my opinion on them. So let's start with Russell Wilson. He basically said, hey, I'll give you until April 15th to get me an extension, or else, well, not or else anything, but next year he'll be a free agent. So he's making the correct decision. Hey, before the draft, I want you to commit to me. By committing to me, you're going to promise to draft some offensive linemen and give me some help here, because I've been scrambling around for the last 3 years trying to make plays. And actually Russell Wilson has been pretty successful. He's had one of the best fourth quarter quarterback ratings. He's been really consistent over the past couple years. He's not one of those quarterbacks that needs 300 yards a game for the team to win. He can get it done with his legs, he can get it done with his arm, and he can make that one or two big plays at the end of the game. And this is a huge asset for the Seahawks. Now, if I were the Seahawks, would I pay him more than $30 million a year? I don't know. I think Russell Wilson's of the mindset, hey, if I was in some other market, I wouldn't really be getting the deals that I have been getting now. He has a lot of off-the-field sponsors. His wife makes a lot of money too. I see him taking the Tom Brady route. I want him to take Tom Brady route, and I'm kind of scared that he's not going to. I'm kind of scared he's going to ask for $33 million a year like Aaron Rodgers, like a record contract. If I were him, I would ask for a Bryce Harper-esque contract. For really long, have a 10-year contract, and then for $25 million a year or $20 million a year, and then have that almost fully guaranteed throughout the entire time. That's honestly what I would do. Because this one makes it sure Seattle, if they're going to want you for that long, they're going to need to get an offensive line behind you. They're going to need to provide you with a lot of weapons. Now, Russell Wilson providing Seattle with the perfect opportunity. He goes, hey, if you don't want me, you could trade me for so many pieces. Imagine next year Russell Wilson goes, okay, you're not going to give me an extension? Oh, now I could just go to any team I want, and all they have to do is foot the bill, and that's it. So Seattle now, they can go, hey, we only have, let's say, we only have four picks in the entire draft. They can go, wait, teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, teams like the Bengals, they can give us a lot of assets. They have a lot of draft capital, especially the Bengals. They're gonna have probably the number 1 overall pick next year. With all that capital, we can make a trade. I think Seattle is in a pretty good position where they know they have to make a decision on Russell Wilson here or there. If I were them, I would sign Russell Wilson to a long-term extension, the 10-year record-breaking contract. Even though Russell Wilson has been hurt, it'll keep him at ease, and he knows he's the quarterback, and he won't really make a bunch of risky plays like he usually does, and you could surround him with enough pieces for the future. That's what I would do. I'm not gonna lie, as much as this situation reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, it also reminds me of Tom Brady, how Pete Carroll's been getting rid of defensive players that don't really fit their mojo, kind of like how Bill Belichick got rid of certain players like Malcolm Butler, Darrelle Revis. When buying low and selling high, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how this develops, whether it's gonna be a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers thing, whether Russell Wilson is gonna be able to take an average roster like he has over the past couple years, honestly, to 10-6 records like he did, or whether it's gonna be more like Aaron Rodgers, where eventually it catches up to you, and with your below average roster, you can't exceed expectations after a certain amount of times. Russell Wilson has been injured like Aaron Rodgers has, with tiny little injuries, not as big as Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but he hasn't been as healthy as Tom Brady has. And Tom Brady has had more, at least playoff success than Russell Wilson. And that's because I think Bill Belichick is the better coach. When it's all said and done, Bill Belichick is better than Pete Carroll. I don't think that's a hot take. But I do appreciate Russell Wilson and how he was able to take this below average roster. I had them at 6-10 this year, and he was able to take them to the playoffs against the Cowboys, and they had a shot in that game. I honestly didn't think they had a shot, but they ended up almost winning that game. Anyway, let's move on to Julio Jones, because he wants to be Tom Brady. He's like, I want this contract to work with anybody. I don't need $20 million. I like his attitude, but I don't believe him. I think he's going to sign for 4 years, $20 million a year, and it's gonna handicap the whole team. Julio Jones is worth it. He had I think he would have been Super Bowl 51 MVP if Tom Brady didn't come back. It wasn't his fault that they lost that game. He made that one catch with like 3 minutes 30 seconds left that was legendary. Ever since he's entered the league, he's been a top 5 wide receiver. He's been reliable. He hasn't made too much off. I don't even remember anything off the field that he did. So he's a huge asset to this Atlanta Falcons team. And him and Matt Ryan are the 2 cornerstones of this team that have been there. Well, Matt Ryan since 2008, Julio Jones 2011, and they even got rid of Matt Bryant. So these are the 2 cornerstones of the franchise. The only problem is, when was the last time you saw a huge quarterback-wide receiver duo win the Super Bowl? Last time that happened was the Colts with Peyton Manning. So I'd be cautionary. I'd watch the Giants. Hey, they signed Odell Beckham. Although Odell was more of a problem than Julio Jones, Odell didn't win them games. What won the Giants games that one season was defense. Now, if you can get Julio Jones and even trade him to a team like I don't know, some team with a good defense, like maybe even the Bears. If you trade him for Eddie Jackson or something like that, and you get a couple of defensive talent back, I don't think the Bears would do it. But I'm saying if you would want to do that to help your defense, that'd be amazing. They've added a lot of pieces in the offseason to help them with their offense, to help them with the people departing, for like their wide receivers. Coleman left. I know either Coleman or Freeman left. I'd like it. Right now they don't have a defensive coordinator. They might have hired Bob Sutton, but I'm not sure. They need to build a defensive identity. You have Dan Quinn, who's a defensive-minded head coach. They have a lot of young defensive talent. Bring a veteran leader in there. Bring Ndamukong Suh in there. Sign him to a big contract. The only problem is Julio Jones would handicap you. So if you get rid of Julio Jones, you bring in Ndamukong Suh, I think that this team could be really successful next year. Matt Ryan is still playing at a high level. You have your offensive line, who was completely decimated last year with a lot of injuries. They're kind of like the Redskins last year. They would have been really good, kind of. And then, they were decimated by injuries, and that was the end of that. I mean, you can't really control for injuries. And now all of a sudden, you fire your offensive coordinator and Steve Sarkisian. It was only his second year with Matt Ryan, and it wasn't really his fault that, the team didn't really succeed. It was a multitude of things. It was a lot of things rather than that. So we have 2 more big free agents that still haven't been signed. You have Ndamukong Suh, like I mentioned, who would be an amazing fit with the Falcons. Its only thing is Ndamukong Suh is going to ask for a lot of money. You need somebody to help. Vic Beasley. Vic Beasley is still a stud. He just doesn't have somebody else to bring pressure. Now you can solve this with the draft and bringing out Oliver. I think that's a good idea, but I think you still need a corner or 2. You have some young talent there. You bring in somebody else. Maybe bring Ansah from the Lions in and sign him to, hopefully you can get him for $5 or $6 million a year. Get good value, and get Julio Jones off the books, because it's everyone knows a quarterback being paid a lot of money and a wide receiver being paid a lot of money isn't going to work. It didn't work for Eli Manning and Odell. It didn't work for Andy Dalton and AJ Green. It didn't work for a bunch of other teams. We can go on and on and on. You need a well-rounded team. You need a defense to make stops on third down. And that's the main thing. If the team cannot get you off the field on third down, that's pretty much it. So I guess to sum up a little bit, the Seattle Seahawks are reminding me a lot of the Green Bay Packers. They're kind of overperforming each year. They have a really good quarterback with a historically high passer rating. It doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, can make plays. It's not really supported that well. And it seems like a lot of teams like this, they overperform, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh yeah, they weren't really a great team to begin with, and we needed to surround them with pieces. Now, do they commit to Russell Wilson? I think they do. But you're going to have to start surrounding him with, pieces to succeed. You have teams like the Arizona Cardinals, who remind me a lot of Chicago, that made some decent defensive moves this offseason, adding a veteran, a pass rusher, and having a quarterback in year 2 with a new head coach, kind of like what the Rams did, and having a bunch of these young teams coming up, so actually supporting their quarterback now. So that's just my opinion. As far as the Falcons, I think it's going to be a big mistake paying their wide receiver. And if you can get them off the books and pay some other players just as much, I think they'd be just as successful. Even though Julio Jones is a reliable target for Matt Ryan, they kind of build that camaraderie. I just think it's not going to work out for Super Bowls, and you need defense, and Dan Quinn knows what type of defense it takes to win Super Bowls, and this is not it as presently constructed. And just as a last point, I just thought of this, but what if instead of like the Giants or another team getting the Russell Wilson, what if the Patriots got Russell Wilson? They have a lot of draft stock right now to potentially make a huge deal with the Seahawks. They don't really have high picks. But imagine the the Patriots end up with Russell Wilson. That would just be hilarious, and that'd be great. I don't think he'd go for it, but that'd be amazing. And I just wonder, like, how much that would set the league on fire. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.